I'm going to add one word that is often overlooked in the list of external promises. And that word, friends, is professionalism. So the question for me to you is, when was the last time there was a session like this, a 1 hour, 2 hour, half hour, 15-minute, 5-hour conversation about what it means to be a professional? Well, I'll just cut it to the quick here. Most times it does not exist. And then the question then becomes, how do we understand what that means? Because professionalism is demonstrated or manifests itself in the way what we say, what we do, even the way we look, how we address people, the whole deal. Now, let me just say what I mean. Often, if you're from a place, and maybe like me again, if you go back, I grew up where, when my dad was in the nursing home, one of the biggest problems I had with what was happening there was that he was a pastor. He was a person in the community back in St. Louis. And I walked in one day, and the young lady who was working with him would call him Gene. Gene. That's his first name, Eugene. And she'd come in like he was familiar. But when I realized that, I grew up in a place in a time where your kids couldn't call adults by their first name. Anybody? Yeah. And so I was really taken aback by the fact that she was referring to him as Gene. And I said to her, "Excuse me, ma'am, my dad is a very well respected person, and I would appreciate it if you'd call him Pastor Harris as opposed to Gene." And I understand what was going on there. Don't get me wrong. I understand that there's a sense of comfort and familiarity that they're trying to get with the patients. But culturally, for me, I was like, it showed me a lack of respect. So he deserves at this latter part of his life to maintain the dignity of his profession. And so I would appreciate if you would just refer to him as Pastor Harris or Elder Harris or Reverend Harris, whatever one, but not Gene. The people who call it Gene, as a matter of fact, nobody called him Gene. Nobody. Eugene, Mr. Harris, Pastor Harris, but nobody called him Gene. And so this whole idea of professionalism suggests, is that a promise? Let me just ask you, is that a promise that you can make to the citizens of Lincoln and Lancaster County to be a professional? Do you always get back kind words that you give people in this line of work? Do you always get kind words back? So the question then becomes, if I'm giving out kindness and I'm getting back unkindness, do I maintain my professionalism or do I give them back what they're giving me? Tit for tat kind of thing. So I just want to lay out there this word, professionalism, as something to think about.